Hi, everybody!
Hello.
I got real loud there for a sec. I don't know why.
You did, but you also sound like you were in the middle of a stretch.
You know me too well.
Why do you always start it when you're in the middle of something you shouldn't be doing?
I don't know. It must just be like a nervous... maybe there's a part of me that just wants it to be natural, you know?
Maybe there's a part of me that just wants it to be over.
It'll sound natural if I'm doing something that... You know how, like, they say you should look away from the camera and then look at it just as the picture's taken to get a more natural look?
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing. The audience is walking in on me stretching. I'm like, oh, hello.
It's so weird that I just happened to press record at this exact moment.
Just as I was stepping out of the shower. Man. Help me
That's
towel
him.
off while I tell you about the theme song.
The sleep paralysis demon.
Play it. Play the theme song.
I love this theme song because it's so bad.
It's so weird. I don't get it. I did have the thought, there's a part in the song where there's one line that just sort of randomly doesn't rhyme and doesn't seem to fit. And like, I don't know, it's almost like she trails off in the middle of it. And I thought, it's like a Disney Wish lyric.
It was written by an AI.
Oh, the sentient meteor itself wrote this line.
I thought you were going to say sentient meat, and I had a very interesting thought pattern following that.
Wow. In such a short time period.
It doesn't take much.
Oh, I know. I have ADHD. I know how it goes.
I've written a book that I'll never write in that 5 seconds.
Did you, speaking of sentient meteors, did you remember that was an aspect of this show?
I sure didn't.
Did you remember that there's a sentient meteor in the basement that hasn't been mentioned? I don't think it's even been mentioned.
I was even trying to pay attention to like the background fluff on screen during the theme song because it gives you the teeny tiniest rundown, but it doesn't mention the sentient meteor.
It does mention the meteor on the very first article that's on screen.
I must have just missed the first one then.
Yeah, I think so. You must have tuned in after the first one. If you go back and look at it, the very first article is like about finding the meteor.
But does it mention it being sentient?
No. I wonder if it is sentient in the show. It is in the game.
Okay, because I did see the part about the meteorite, but I forgot that it was sentient.
The only mention we've really had of the meteor in every episode we've watched so far, including this one, the only mention of the meteor has been that it was involved in the experiment that turned Turner into a big man-child and Harry into a fly. Which hasn't really been important.
No?
Even in that first episode, it was just kind of a throwaway. Here's something that happened 10 years ago, apparently.
I remember us talking in the last episode, I think, about how this show does actually mention it again, and the dad is trying to find a way to reverse it. But we haven't seen hide nor hair of that yet.
No. I did, when I was looking for an episode for us to cover today, I did think about doing the first season finale, but then I was like, nah, I'm sure there's other stuff we can look at before the season finale. So I can tell you that in the first season finale, it is a central plot point.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know when or how often it gets brought up in between then and now.
So then, what episode is this, and why have you brought it to my doorstep?
This is the 4th episode. We've skipped over the 3rd one and gone to the 4th one. Love Thy Neighbor, which first aired on October 4th, 1990. It's written by Michael Short, Martin Short's brother.
Okay.
Who was also a writer for Second City TV, where a lot of the people who worked on this show came from SCTV.
Mm-hmm.
He also wrote for the Martin Short's show, which I'm going to say might have been nepotism, but I'm not entirely sure.
No, Mike, you can't prove that.
He wrote for the Wayne Brady show, and he wrote for Schitt's Creek as well.
The Wayne Brady show, which overtook You Don't Know Jack?
Did it?
It said that they aired 6 episodes of it, and then it was replaced with the Wayne Brady show, according to Mansion Site.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This guy's really doing all the research for us this week.
Mansion Site, by the way, when I was looking for information about this show today, which there is not much of on the internet, I was on the Wikipedia page, which is annoyingly one of the best resources for info about this show, but at the very bottom on the external links, there was a link to something called Mansion Site, which it said was a Maniac Mansion TV show fan site. And I thought, that's got to have good information on it. No. There was more information on that site about other shows than there was about Maniac Mansion, I think.
Yeah.
Which was weird. But it was just a decade-old WordPress blog that was full of, how did you describe it? Stream of consciousness rambling?
Something like that, yeah. To the tune of Maniac Mansion.
Yeah. It was a fun read. We did read each other a couple of articles after we started recording, and that will probably end up on the Patreon. Yeah, not particularly helpful. But it did list a few TV shows that we can cover that I hadn't thought of before, like Did You Know Jack?
Or the Forza show.
Yeah. Didn't even know that there was a Forza show. I didn't even think about it. Because I think if you asked me, I would have assumed that Forza was a sports brand rather than a video game. I would have just assumed that it's like FIFA. And it's like, yeah, that's a sports thing that they make video games of. You know?
Yeah. No, but yeah.
I don't know, it just didn't occur to me. I've owned one Forza game. Did you know this?
I feel like I knew this.
I got a Forza game when I first bought my Xbox 360. It came with a Forza game. So my entire experience with Forza is that the day I bought my Xbox 360, they handed me Viva Pinata, Sonic 06, and whatever the Forza game was at the time. And I handed them back Forza and said, how much can I get for this?
Did they say, oh, we actually can't take that unless you open the box?
That would have been funny. The weird thing is, like, I told them just to not give me Forza, and the guy was like, I can't do that. I have to give it to you, and then you have to give it back to me.
We have to put on a show for the cameras, otherwise I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah, like, I told him, like, I don't actually want that one. You don't have to hand it to me. And he was like, no, I do. Anyway.
Did you get any money for it?
I think I got like £3.
Wow.
And then they probably sold it on for 15.
Probably.
That's what happened when one of my friends traded in their copy of F-Zero X. And I was like, why would you trade that in? That game's great. But they traded it in, and they got a $5 for it, and they were really pleased with themselves. They were like, I got a whole $5 for that. And then we walked by like a week later, and their copy of F-Zero X was in the window for £20.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, you got fleeced.
Did I tell you about the comics?
What comics?
So, Kevin, my roommate, if this ends up on Patreon, is a big comic book nerd, but he has a lot of physical comics that are just taking up space in his room. So, a couple weeks ago, he's like, I'm going to take these to a secondhand bookstore and just get rid of them. They're taking up too much space. I don't need them. Bye. So we take them there, ton of comics, probably over 300 of them. And they're like, well, it's going to take us some time to sort through these, so it's probably going to be about 48 hours before you hear back from us. So he waits the designated amount of time. He gets an email being like, hey, your order's ready. Come in and see how much you get for it. And so he goes in, and they offered him, like, $13. Because they wouldn't accept most of them. They're like, yeah, we have too many comics. So you can get $32 of in-store credit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that selling things to like a reselling store is a losing proposition. Like if you actually need money, sell them on the internet. You'll get more, and they'll definitely go to someone who cares.
Yeah. He just needed them out of his way. Like he knew he was going to get jerked off for it, but not that bad.
It's different. The one time when I will give them to a store is when I'm like actually donating.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not getting any money out of it, if I'm just like, I'm just going to donate this to help the needy in some way. But if you've got stuff that's actually worth something, sell them online.
Yeah.
Because that way someone who actually cares about them will get them, which is, I always think, a better thing to do.
Yeah.
If it's crap that's not worth anything, donate it. Take it to a children's hospital or something.
Yeah, indoctrinate the children on X-Men.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maniac Mansion.
Did I mention that Eugene Levy co-wrote this episode as well? Or did we
you did not get to that part.
Super sidetracked. Okay.
We got moderately sidetracked.
So yeah, Michael Short and Eugene Levy wrote this episode together.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Michael Short, because Michael Short wrote for this show throughout. I'm going to go ahead and say that was probably instrumental in the fact that Martin Short appears in an episode in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Martin Short would have done this show if his brother wasn't writing for it. Probably. I mean, he's friends with Eugene Levy, so maybe.
True.
And this is Eugene Levy's baby.
Which one of them was responsible for putting in the jokes?
I don't know. I don't know enough about Michael Short's career to judge that fairly, I think. Because this show is so strange.
Yeah, like, because I've been thinking about it recently too, before you even sent that message in the dead of night. I have been thinking about this show a lot. For some reason, I think of it somewhat fondly, and then I watch it.
Yeah.
And then I watch it, and I'm like, huh. Okay.
Oh, this is what it is. But there's something, I want to say, like, homely about it.
I guess.
Do you know what I mean? It's not a good show. But there's something about it where it's just like, even though we don't know any of these people, there's something where it's like, yeah, but my friends made it, so. You know?
Kind of. Like, I like the family minus Harry the Fly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if the writing was a little bit better.
That's the thing. I don't know. See, I might extend my minus to include the kids as well. Just because I feel like we haven't seen enough of the kids. But I like Fred and Casey.
Yeah.
The two parents, even if they don't make me laugh very often, they've got like a nice chemistry. They feel like nice people. They feel like people I'd want to be their neighbors.
Just not the sentient meteors.
Yeah. So speaking of their neighbors, let's actually talk about this episode. Although this episode opens with Harry.
Oh my god. The scene, I don't know why it's in here. I don't know why it dragged on so long. It has nothing to do with anything.
It is only here to bookend the episode and to remind us that Harry exists.
Basically.
Because there's only really like one scene in this whole episode where Harry interacts with anyone other than these ants in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He's barely in this episode, and most of his screen time, he's just in the kitchen chatting with ants.
He is at the family dinner table, and he talks a little bit to them. So it's like, that's all we needed to remember he was here.
That still only feels like it's bookending the ants.
I'm saying we don't need the ants at all.
So we start out, he's like complaining that he's had like caterpillar friends, but they ditch him when they become butterflies, and moths and as well. And now he's trying out making friends with ants. I know this is nitpicking. But in the wide shots, Harry is talking to a plate with a cookie and cookie crumbs on it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we cut into the first close-up of the ants, it's on... And the plate with the cookie is on a tiled kitchen counter with, like, cream tiles. But then when we cut into the first close-up of the ants, they're on a white marble countertop with bread and a bread knife. And then on the second close-up, they're on a plate that has green beans on it.
I had the same problem! I had the same problem. I was like, why? Because it spends so much time in this establishing shot showing us that the ant is on this particular piece of cookie.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it's bread with a knife and it's green bean.
Just show the same stock footage. Use the beans later.
Because that's clearly what it is. It's because it's just stock footage, and they did reuse the one with the green beans later at the end.
Yes, they did.
They used the exact same shot, and in the middle of the episode, they used the same shot with the bread again as well. It's like not only are they just using basic stock footage for the ants, but they only got 2 pieces. For like 5 ant shots.
That don't even need to be in the episode.
They could have gone outside and got an ant and put it on that cookie plate. How hard would it have been?
Do you know how hard it is to catch an ant, Mike?
Yes.
Really easy.
Yes. What's hard is getting rid of the ants.
That's true. You bring one in and suddenly all of his friends are there.
Anyway, he tells the ants to run because the family are coming, and they head down for breakfast. Except Tina, who is entirely absent from this episode.
I know, they've already gotten rid of her.
I know.
On episode 4.
That's what I was thinking. We're 4 episodes in and they're already having to write out the kids when they're not available for filming.
Right.
It's explained that Tina is away at Mensa camp.
Because she's a brain lord.
Yeah, so I guess we're establishing that Tina's really intelligent, which isn't something I picked up on from what we've seen of her so far.
No, they've made her a pretty stereotypical teenage girl.
Yeah, I feel like we've barely seen her. This is the 3rd episode we've watched, and I feel like she's barely appeared in the show, really.
Yeah, I feel like we learned the most about her in the first episode, their 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, and what was her whole thing in that? She wanted to go on a date with a bad boy or something?
Something like that, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. So the word jaboni. Can we talk about this?
Let's.
Ike refers to the people at Mensa camp as jabonis. I am not saying that wrong. That's how he said it.
Can you imagine being stuck on an island with all those jabonis?
Having a superior brain, Ike, does not automatically make you a jaboni.
So the word jabroni, right, is pretty common now.
Mm-hmm.
I learned it from It's Always Sunny, I think.
Where many of us did.
Apparently it was added to the dictionary in 2020.
Good.
So I went to dictionary.com to read about the origins of this word because I was really curious, because I was like, I feel like I didn't start hearing it until the 2000s, maybe later. But here's this 1990 show saying jaboni. Okay, there's no R in there, but it's clearly like supposed to be the same word.
Right.
So it gained popularity through professional wrestling.
Okay.
It was The Rock that first started saying it publicly, but he said that he had heard it from the Iron Sheik, I think. Yeah, okay. In fact, the first thing that came up when I Googled that to check was a Reddit thread called R.I.P. Iron Sheik, creator of the cool word jabroni.
The cool word jabroni.
But that was 1995. Apparently the first use of it in professional wrestling was recorded in 1995, which was 5 years after this episode came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, there's more to this. There's more to this story. So I did some more digging, and it turns out that jabroni is actually an old-timey early 1900s insult that's made a comeback in the modern era.
Ooh.
It originated from Italian immigrants, and it's believed to have evolved out of the Italian word for ham. So you're
Okay.
just calling people a ham.
I like it. I think we need to bring both of those words to the forefront.
Yeah, and jaboni was a legitimate variant of it that has been recorded. So this wasn't them getting a word wrong. This was them using modern day slang before it was cool. But then, like, when they wrote this, Ike, who is the cool kid in the family, was using, like, 1920s slang here. Which is really funny to me.
Yeah. We've encountered that many times in our studies. Really outdated slang for some reason.
Yeah, but this is, like, to an extreme, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's a 1990s show using slang from like the 60s or something. This is slang that was first recorded in 1915.
The year Eugene Levy was born.
There's this whole conversation that happens here about IQ that I don't really have any notes about because I just kind of thought it was boring.
It was boring.
And like, it seems like they knew it as well because Harry reacts with boredom to it.
155. 150.
Somebody wake me when he gets to 96.
So anyway, that is interrupted by someone at the door, which they send Turner to go answer. I don't know that I'd send my toddler. I mean, I know he's not in the body of a toddler, but I don't know if I'd send my toddler to answer the door.
Yeah, I guess Casey wasn't really busy or anything. I feel like the kid is fine to answer the door if it's the last option.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just the most excited about it.
Maybe.
Because some kids are like that, just excited to answer the phone or open the door.
I feel like literally the only member of the family less qualified to answer the door in this moment is probably Harry and Tina.
Because one of them is not there and the other is a fly.
Yeah. But it turns out it's the Pratt family, the Edison family's neighbors. And this is the reason we're watching this episode, because this is the episode that introduces these recurring characters.
Oh, they come back.
Oh, yeah, they're in like 10 episodes.
Great.
Didn't you love them?
It's my favorite.
I love how it immediately establishes that we're supposed to hate their son.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Edison.
He's a little shit and they want us to know it.
Yeah, it's like, it's obnoxiously clear that the writers want us to hate this child.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. So we have Richard Pratt, played by Mark Wilson, who is known for playing Moose in The Border, Glenn Braxton in The Red Green Show, Brian Cahill in Blue Murder, none of which I've heard of.
No.
But he also had small roles in X-Files, Degrassi, the movie Fly Away Home, Due South, and Teen Angel. I've seen all of those things.
I've seen some of them.
Which ones haven't you seen?
Most of them.
Did you ever see Fly Away Home?
No.
I saw it once when it came out on VHS and I rented it. It's fine. You wouldn't like it. It's about geese.
Ugh. The worst birds.
And we used to watch Due South a lot when I was really small. I have memories of it. I just remember it's about a Mountie who's in America, and that's the only reason I know what a Mountie is.
Because he was due south.
Yeah. Then we've got Allison Pratt, which is spelled Allasyn.
That checks out, yeah.
She's played by Wendy Hopkins. This is her most prolific role.
This?
Yeah, this is the role that she played most recurrently.
Did she retire afterwards?
No, but it seems like she is better known as a writer and director than she is
Okay.
as an actor. She wrote and directed on a show called The Tournament, which was a mid-2000s mockumentary series about hockey. But I've never heard of it.
No.
Sorry,
But-
Wendy.
When sports are mentioned, my brain just turns to static.
Yeah, same. And then we have Kiefer Pratt, played by Patrick Gillen. This kid didn't do that much. He stopped acting in 1996. We kind of see this a lot with child actors.
Right.
Like, I feel like most of the child actors we've ever covered basically stopped acting shortly after whatever they were in that we looked at.
Good for them. Probably saved their lives.
Yeah. I feel like there's a handful of child actors that go on to be adult actors, right? But not many.
Yeah.
His most prolific role was Henry Ruster in Blauvogel.
What?
I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, and I don't know what it is. That was the thing he had played the most, followed by this. So
Okay.
So the Pratt family are having work done on their house, and they're going to stay at a hotel during the work. And they're here to ask the Edisons to watch the house for them while they're gone. And, like, they clearly don't want to come in.
Casey asks them like twice to come in and just be neighborly, and they're very reluctant.
First, she asks them in and they say no, but then Allison just starts reading out this huge list of chores that need done while they're away. And Casey's just like, just come in and have a coffee while you tell us.
Right.
And they still don't really want to, but they kind of agree to it.
Like they're all dressed like very preppy above what they think the Edisons are.
Yeah.
They don't want to set foot in that nasty house.
Yeah. They talk about how unhappy they are about having to live in a hotel. And it's like the stuff they're complaining about is clearly meant to make it sound like they're unreasonable people.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the main thing they complain about is that they want to eat vegetarian and that the hotel doesn't accommodate for them very well. And like in the 90s, sure, maybe that made them sound unreasonable, but now it's like kind of it's kind of a reasonable thing to complain about.
Right, but in the 90s, you were a freak if you wanted to eat tofu.
That's true. I guess in the 90s, they were still editing tofu out of cartoons so kids wouldn't have to learn what it was.
Right. There are still holdouts that freak out if you mention tofu. It's like, why don't you just eat meat? 'Cause I like tofu!
Yeah, leave them alone. Like, I'm not even vegetarian, but there's a certain noodle place in town where whenever I order noodles from them, I will always get it with tofu because their tofu is just so good.
Right. You know what's cheap as dirt? Tofu. You know what I can just slop into my ramen noodles? Tofu.
If you fry it up, real nice.
That's a lot of work, though.
I know a lot of places just boil it, but this place I order from fries it, and oh man, fried tofu. Just put it in me. Just put it, bypass my mouth somehow.
Cut me open and put the tofu in.
So yeah, Fred kind of, it feels like a knee-jerk thing that he didn't really think about, but he offers for them to stay with them instead of going to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's happy with the idea. Even Casey kind of like recoils at it when
Right.
he says it.
I don't think he's particularly happy with himself either.
No, it felt like it was just like sometimes you offer somebody something that you don't really want to offer them, but you just do it without thinking because it's polite.
Right.
And that's what it felt like. The only person who's really taken with the idea is the kid, Kiefer, who immediately starts throwing a tantrum because he wants to stay at the Edison's house. And I guess Ike is okay with it. Ike gives suggestions for how it could work.
When Kiefer first walks in and joins them at the table, Ike and Kiefer are familiar with each other. And Ike seems to not care one way or the other about Kiefer, but Kiefer is in love with this boy.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
He's very excited to see him, probably because of his cool leather jacket.
So their kid's having a tantrum, but they clearly don't want to stay, so they take the kid to another room to discuss it. Which is clearly, like, it was clear to me that was they were taking him into another room to tell him why it was a bad idea for them to stay there.
Right.
And at the same time, Casey says that she doesn't think it's a great idea. But then from the next room, we just hear a scream and a smash. And then Kiefer's parents return and accept the offer to stay there.
It's the only thing that'll shut him up.
Yeah. And that leads us into the most awkward family dinner I think I've ever witnessed.
Debatable.
Yeah?
Listen, I've been party to some weird dinners.
This scene I thought was really well written. I don't know if I'd say I like it because it kind of makes my skin crawl.
It's very uncomfortable, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. They really nailed it. And they really want us to not like this family, and they really succeeded in making me not like these people.
Right.
The food is served and immediately they are... What's the right word?
Trying to guess what it is.
Yeah, they're like complaining about it without directly complaining about it.
Backhanded
That's
kind
yeah.
of compliment.
Yeah. Because like doesn't Allison, she says something like, I'm trying to figure out what's in all this mayo or something.
Yeah.
I know there's something on this plate of mayonnaise, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
I did think it was weird that the family mentioned earlier that one of the reasons they weren't looking forward to staying at the hotel was that they were eating vegetarian, and then Casey serves them chicken.
I had the same thought.
But they don't seem bothered by the chicken part.
No, because, like, even when they first mentioned it, it felt like it was very performative because they're like, oh, we're trying out that Japanese vegetarian thing. Have you ever heard of something called tofu?
It's performative vegetarianism rather than actual, like, moral or health related.
Right.
Yeah. Because, yeah, they don't complain about the chicken. They just complain about the way it's been served. It's a casserole, and they apparently didn't know what that was.
Well, that's poor people food.
Yeah, that's but like the way he describes, doesn't he say like chicken should be served skinless, fried, and with no seasoning?
Yeah, so it's taken shots at both sides.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're so wealthy and so into their health that they think that to eat healthy you have to have no flavor. But the fried part is a little questionable. That's not healthy.
I feel like it was just like, this is how white people.
That's true, yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe.
Yeah, the Edisons spend the whole meal trying to make conversation, but everything they say gets met with backhanded insults from the Pratts. Kiefer asks for milk, and then Allison asks if it's skim milk, and then because it's 2%, he's like, oh, okay, no, I don't want the milk.
That was one of the few lines that got me to do, like, a nose laugh, because the mom is like, they only have the kind that brings you 2% closer to death.
Yeah. We've got Ike here, who was initially on board with Kiefer staying and sharing his room, but this is where we start seeing him get tired of this kid being a little shit constantly. Richard asks Fred about his work, and then, like, presses him for more details, but then when he caves and starts giving those details, he immediately pulls out a cell phone and calls somebody while Fred's talking.
Well, like, the whole time, Fred's like, there's no way that you actually want to hear about that. Science is so boring. So he's like, no, I insist.
Yeah.
Science is a very fascinating field. I'm very interested. What are you working on?
Well, it's kind of technical. I don't want to bore you.
Well, fine. Just spill, Fred.
Well, right now I'm exploring the polarization of isotrons.
Smitty. Yeah.
Like, at that point, it felt like a deliberate attempt to be rude.
Right, Right, because it would have made sense if he had received the phone call and taken it, but he made it!
Yeah, he pulls it out and he calls it right when he gets Fred to actually open up about what he's doing. And then he has this conversation. I was trying to, like, piece together exactly what the conversation on the phone was about. Because meanwhile, Allison is backhandedly insulting the decor in the house.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, because it's been established earlier on that he's a property developer.
Yes.
And it sounds like he is trying to get an orphanage run by a nun shut down so that he can buy the building.
That is exactly what's happening, yes.
Okay, good. All right, we both came to the same conclusion on that.
Like, at this point, they're just comedically evil.
Yes, this is the part where Idella finally has enough, and she unsubtly excuses herself from the meal.
Would you excuse me? I really must get back to that thing that I have to do someplace else.
And this was the first time in the entire show up till now that I related to her as a character.
Everybody else is still trying to play nice, but she's like, no, absolutely not.
I think she might have been my favorite in this episode.
She's barely in it.
I know, she doesn't do a lot, but the stuff she does is all great.
That's true.
Which is so funny, like, up until now, she's been my least favorite character in this show, I think.
Well, they really did her dirty in that stupid fly episode.
That's true, they did.
That's just a dumb episode.
This is the first episode where she felt like part of the family to me.
Yeah. She's always felt like a little bit of an outsider.
Yeah, she was just kind of around. And it almost felt awkward that she was there in the episodes before this one.
Yeah.
Like she was just this presence in the way of the family almost.
It's like, this is our aunt by marriage.
Yeah, who we don't really get on with.
Yeah.
And her husband is a fly. So they're not interacting. I also liked the bit with her in the tap water.
Yeah.
Allison, when Allison refuses the milk on Kiefer's behalf, she says that she'll just pour him some water and picks up a jug. And then Idella makes a point to say, it's tap water. And then Allison immediately just puts the jug back down. And then Idella picks it up and very pointedly pours herself a glass of the tap water.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
A little sneaky, a little conniving.
So we cut to the bedroom. I don't know about you, but I felt like there was a little bit missing here. Like, we cut to Casey mid-rant.
Heaven forbid they should ever stay home to take care of the poor thing.
And it sounds like she's sympathizing with Kiefer, but I don't know why, because that kid sucks.
Maybe because if he was brought up in a better environment, he wouldn't suck.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it is that she's blaming his behavior on parental neglect. But I feel like it seems like they chopped off maybe the beginning of the rant that would have provided more context for that.
Well, they had to make room for all of the fly talking to the ant.
You're right.
You can't fit in all this exposition.
Yeah. Because Casey's worried that she's gossiping, which apparently is something she's never done before. They've been there for one day and she can't stand the Pratts anymore. And then we go down to Harry, who is gossiping with the ants about everything that's going on. And yeah, this scene felt... I think the only reason this scene is necessary is that this is kind of where we see Harry decide that he's going to do something about it.
Yeah, Fred and Casey, they're soft, too. They don't deal with these situations very well. No, I think I'm going to have to handle this one myself.
He could have done that in any other context. We didn't need 5 minutes of him having a one-sided conversation with stock footage.
I know. I feel for them because he's one of the main characters, but it's so hard for them to integrate him into any episode because he's a fly.
It is, but it isn't. Like, he's still capable of fully conversing with anybody he wants. He just can't, like, do any physical comedy or anything.
Yeah, it's just his head on this big fly suit.
Like, just give him some actually funny lines.
It's true.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch talked to a cat puppet.
You're right. You're right. And he was the best character in the show.
It sure was.
So By the way, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the show, but the lack of proper Salem is the reason I refuse to watch the
We've
Sabrina
talked about
reboot.
this many times outside of the show.
Yeah, Salem is absolutely my favorite thing about Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and when I heard that the news... It was you that told me, actually, because I think you watched the whole show, right?
I watched the first season when, I told you about it when it just came out.
Yeah, because I remember it was you that was like, by the way, just a warning, Salem doesn't talk in this show. And I was like, well, then why would I bother?
Yeah. Garbage. Pure garbage.
This is probably where the ad break would have been. We come back to what is very clearly a dream sequence.
Yeah. It came, this is where I got lost. Not with the ranting to herself, but with the fact that we were suddenly thrust into a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Mid-crazy rant.
Yeah, she's a mad scientist in this dream with a plan to transform the Pratts into decent people. Fred is her assistant. He's doing a pretty passable Peter Lorre impression.
Mm-hmm.
My dear, sweet, brilliant Casey, do you realize what you're doing?
His bread and butter.
Yeah. Yeah, we did find out that he was known for his impressions, right? Outside
because that's how he spent the entire first episode, outside of Turner's door doing impressions.
That's true. Of people we didn't even recognize.
Right. People that died 30 years before we were born.
I guess Peter Lorre is also in that category. I only know about him because of Looney Tunes. Yeah, suddenly music starts playing and Fred in the dream starts dancing to it. And Casey wakes up and the music is real. It's happening in real life.
Oh no.
I've written the Caseys, that's not their name. The Pratts. The Pratts are downstairs doing a dancer-size workout, I guess.
Yeah, following their Jane Fonda in their workout suits.
Yeah, the way they're dressed and everything, and the workout they're doing, I was like, oh man, this is such a throwback to an earlier time period. And then I realized that actually this was just contemporaneous.
Right.
This was the time period in which these things come from.
Yeah, this is a trendy rich couple. This is what people were doing at the time.
Yeah. Honestly, the shirt that the shirt that Richard is wearing here, I would wear that shirt now.
Yeah, I know you would.
You would send me that shirt.
Yeah, I know I would.
You would find it on Vapor 98.
95.
95, sorry. Yeah, I should know that. Did you know first of all, shout out to Vapor 95. Please sponsor us.
Please, I buy so much of your stuff.
Yeah, me too. I have your Hawaiian shirt, the pink one, the really bright electric pink one with the martini glasses and stuff on it. I've got 3 of your t-shirts. My laptop, I covered up the actual manufacturer's logo with a Vapor 95 sticker.
I'm wearing the bunny hoodie. I'm wearing sweats from them. I have a blanket on my bed that is them. I have a tapestry that is them.
We will advertise for you all day. Send us money so that I can send it back to you.
Right. Just pay us in store credit. I will buy you out.
That store was made for us.
I know. Every time there's a new drop, I'm like, ooh, anime girls on a t-shirt.
I know. The only reason I haven't bought anything for a while is because I've been unemployed for too long. Anyway. So the Pratts are planning their day as they're doing this workout. And I actually took note of what the plan was.
Okay.
So Richard is going to play golf and then to the office. Then they're going to meet at the club later, which means that Allison will need to cancel either her therapy session or her haircut. So she is, of course, going to cancel the therapy session.
Obviously. Do you know how hard it is to get a hair appointment?
She says,
Well, I'll get my hair cut. But I probably won't feel good about it.
which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned that it's 6:30 a.m. The Edisons aren't morning people, which I respect.
Mm-hmm.
The Pratts are morning people, which I don't respect.
I would be awake at 6:30 a.m., but I would be mad about it.
Yeah.
That's just because I can't sleep, not because I enjoy it.
My mom would be awake at 6:30 a.m. and trying to get me up. I think my mom trying to get me up in the morning is a large part of what developed me into a night person.
I think that's a large part of what developed me into a person that is not a morning person, but now also cannot sleep.
My mom trying to wake you up.
Yeah. No, my family trying to wake me up constantly.
Right.
So now I'm just, when I sleep, I'm on high alert. So every little noise will wake me up.
Yeah. I guess that is a problem that you have a lot, huh? When I'm asleep, I'm out. Like my bedroom is right above the room where all the garbage cans are for my building. And when the truck comes, they slam those cans around like crazy. It's like you ever seen Disney's Tarzan?
No.
Oh. Well, there's a scene where all the apes are like trashing the camp. And they make a song. Just like smashing everything up. It's like that.
And you sleep through it?
Yeah.
Never in a million years. I can't even sleep through when my roommate starts banging around in the trash can in our kitchen. That happened like 2 nights ago. I was livid.
What's he doing in there?
Throwing out the trash at like 11 at night.
No, but you said banging around in the trash can, and it just made me picture, like, yeah, just every now and then he just climbs in there and starts making a ruckus.
No, he was changing the trash bag in the loudest and longest way possible.
Well, that's less fun.
Yeah.
So the Pratts have already made breakfast. The kitchen is in ruins.
A smoldering crater of food waste.
Yeah, pretty much. Allison warns them that they're low on groceries, but she's made a list. That is such a line to cross.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've used all your food, but I've also made a list of stuff for you to buy that I want. So Casey, at this point, can't handle it anymore. She says she's going out. And then, while she's gone, she expects Fred to make them go away. That is how she words it as well.
I'm going out. Talk to them. Make them go away.
Yeah, that's something I would do.
Yeah, I know.
Solve this problem for me while I'm out taking an anger walk.
So the Pratts in I guess Tina's bedroom, which is where they're sleeping, are talking about how they're not happy with Kiefer staying at the Edisons' place without them all day. But they're not so unhappy about it that either of them is willing to take him with them.
No, absolutely not. It's not an emergency.
No, I think she says it's not a crisis.
Right.
Why not take him with you?
Well, I don't think it's a crisis situation.
He can't go with Richard because he's banned from the golf club. Which is so much storytelling in such a short sentence.
Yeah, that is a good line. I'll give them that.
Then Turner comes in. I'm not sure why Turner came in to show them specifically this bunny that he made.
I think it's just because he's a little boy.
I guess
and he
so.
he sees these adults and he just wants to share his art with them.
I guess so. I guess it's really hard for me to connect that he's a little boy because of how he looks, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that is something a kid would do, right? Just run in and be like, look what I did.
Yeah, I made a bunny.
But they're mean to him. And this is like a final, although I have a hard time thinking of Turner as a kid, when they're mean to him, I'm like, fuck you.
They're mean to him this whole episode. I was waiting for Ike to say something about it.
Well, mostly up until this point, it's been Kiefer that was mean to him.
Yeah.
But this is the first time, like, the adults are mean to him. So in Ike's room, Kiefer is being a little shit, as is his wont. Turner comes in to show them his bunny, and Kiefer starts telling him to go away, and Ike is like, no, you don't have to go away, Turner. Don't listen to that jerk.
Yeah, brother of mine.
Yeah, Ike's just trying to make the bed.
Yeah.
And Kiefer's like, aren't you rich? Don't you have a maid?
They're not that kind of rich family.
No, they are a rich family, but they're not the kind of rich family that has help.
Right. This episode makes it very clear that they're raising their kids to be
responsible. There's something that's comes up during dinner as well, because the Pratts are talking about their garden and how they spend $200 a day for the gardening service that doesn't even prune the bushes.
Right.
And then Fred mentions that he does all the gardening himself at their house, and Richard is just like, yeah, we know.
I do my own gardening. Yeah, I've noticed.
Oh, there was that one line that really got me during that scene, because she asks Casey, she's like, there's something strange growing in your garden. What is it? And the aunt, whatever her name is, Idella, just goes, corn.
Yeah.
And she's like taken aback. And then what really got me is she says, oh, you're growing vegetables. How ethnic. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I forgot about that. But it is strange to grow corn, right? I've never heard of anybody just growing corn in their garden.
Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe it's more normal in America. Like, corn comes from America. We don't have as much of it here.
Yeah.
We're much more potato-focused here in the UK.
For some reason, I have it in my head that it's like an invasive species like bamboo, so you plant one and suddenly you've got a million corns to deal with, but I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about corn.
Yeah, I know we didn't have corn over here in Europe until the Native Americans taught the settlers about corn.
Stole all our corn.
Yeah, we have it now, but we don't have as much. You guys still hoard the most of it. Kiefer yelling at Turner is, I guess, Harry's last straw.
Yeah.
So this is where he decides to reveal himself. And Turner tries really hard to cover for it. Ike. Ike tries really hard to cover for it.
Stick around, Turner. You're gonna miss the fireworks.
Who's that? Who is what? Who said that? Who said what?
The thing about the fireworks.
There! I heard it again! Heard what again? You didn't hear that? Didn't hear what? That voice! What voice? Uncle Harry! Turner!
Yeah, they're really gaslighting that little boy.
Yeah, but Uncle Harry was trying to give himself away, so...
Yeah, and like, it doesn't really lead to anything. It's not like the boy's like, oh, your uncle's been turned into a fly and he's harassing me. I get it. He's just like, a talking fly.
Yeah, and he runs away to his parents and tells them that he saw a talking fly. So his dad immediately calls their psychiatrist. But then Harry starts speaking to Allison as well. Meanwhile, in the basement, Idella is coaching Fred through getting rid of the Pratts.
Richard! Allison! You're not gonna believe this! We just won a free trip to Tahiti! But we gotta leave tomorrow! So you...
I could drop the bomb if you like.
No, you have no tact. Remember, they're still our neighbors. Now, this has to be handled and worded with the skill of a surgeon.
So he goes upstairs to the ground floor, and he calls up the stairs for the Pratts to come downstairs and talk. And Idella's like, remember, be firm and direct. And he just calls out their name, and they immediately just come downstairs in their pajamas with their suitcases and leave through the front door without saying a word. And this made me laugh. Just like Fred and Idella just like standing there staring at the front door, having no idea what just happened.
Right.
Casey comes home. She just passed the Pratts on their way out, and she wants to know what happened because she's upset that they left like that. But Fred genuinely has no idea what happened.
Yeah, and Ike and Turner decide not to tell him.
Yeah. So they just never find out, I guess.
No. And that's the end of the episode.
Well, not quite. We've got one last Harry having a chat with the ants scene.
No.
We never hear anything from the ants other than what Harry relays to us. This whole time he's just been talking at the ants, and then the ants finally respond here. They're getting annoyed with him because he keeps interrupting their work and he talks too much. And then he has a little argument with them about it, and then he decides that he's done with ants. Then he spots a firefly and tries to strike up a conversation with that. So that's his whole thing for this episode, is that he's just working his way through different insects, trying to find someone that will put up with him.
What a necessary scene we had to witness.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a running plot. It's probably not, but trying to give it the benefit of the doubt.
We already had an episode where he was cheating on his wife with a fly.
That's true. With a young fly. Well, that's the end. We've reached it.
We completed it.
We've defeated it.
Finally, after all these years, we've beaten Maniac Mansion.
Oh, no. No, we've got a lot more episodes that we can look at, should we so choose.
We do have to look at least one more.
Yeah, there's a couple more that I really want to look at, based on what I know, but I will get there. Eventually. What did you think of this one, though?
I didn't have strong feelings for it one way or the other. It just kind of was.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about it, but at the same time, this is probably my favorite of all the episodes we've watched. Which is, you know, I don't want that to sound like more than it is. I didn't like any of these that much, but this was my favorite one.
I think mine is still probably the first episode.
Really? The 10th anniversary one?
Like, it's a garbled, jumbled mess, but I think it's because they did so much, like, stylistically that makes it really stand out.
The stylistic stuff was pretty good, but I think I prefer this because I do like the set. I like the house set that they've got for this. The 10th anniversary special was set entirely on a stage, which I didn't connect with as much. I mean, I know that was the stylistic choice, but it feels like, I don't know what the actual case is, but it feels like they've rented a real house to film it.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't feel like a soundstage or a set. It feels like a genuine living space, and I guess I like that. Like, you know, like how Scrubs bought a real disused hospital to film in?
Yeah.
I feel like it adds something when they do that kind of stuff. But yeah, this was the first episode where I liked Ike. This was the first episode where I liked Idella. I already liked Fred and Casey, so that's fine. Turner, I'm still on the fence about, and Tina's just not here, so.
Turner's just a little boy. Like, he's just there to be a little boy. I don't think we're ever going to get a lot of character development out of him.
No, but from looking at what other episodes there are, it does seem like of the three kids, he's the one who gets the most focus.
Really?
That's what it looks like. But again, like, there's not that much information about this show on the internet, so I really just have to go on episode titles.
Right.
Because IMDb has synopses for half of the first season, and that's it. And then after that, all I have is titles to go on. So trying to figure out what episodes are about based solely on the title is difficult.
Probably not the most accurate way to go about that.
So I guess it's more accurate to say that Turner's name appears in the most titles of the three children. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the most focused on, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know. It maybe is just the way he's acted is like, would maybe be fine for a genuine little boy, but when it's coming from an actor who I know is a grown man, it's annoying.
Yeah.
I think that might be what part of it is.
Maybe.
But yeah, no legacy, obviously.
What?
I mean, unless you want to count the fact that the Pratts continue to appear in this show as a legacy of this episode.
In its own show.
Yeah. But that's generally not what we cover in the legacy section.
You're telling me the very popular series Maniac Mansion did not incorporate Little Dingus?
Little Dingus.
What's his name? Kiefer.
I wonder what the rights situation is like for this, right? I wonder if LucasArts own any of the characters created for this show. Or I guess Lucasfilm now. LucasArts doesn't exist anymore. Because Lucasfilm were listed as a production company for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. It's possible that they retain the rights for it. Or maybe Eugene Levy owns these characters. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll never know. But
The internet certainly doesn't.
I was about to say if they gave Dr. Fred a wife in the games, they could name her Casey. Then I remembered that he's always had a wife in the games, and her name is Edna. So,
well, I got nothing.
he's always had one kid, a son named Ed, who does not appear in this show. So strange. So strange.
I would guess under those circumstances that these would all be owned by the creators of the show then, right?
I don't know. We honestly can't know without seeing like what kind of legal agreement was drawn up.
True.
Because I know I'm gonna bring Sonic up in an episode where I haven't up until now.
No!
But
I just want to get through one episode!
but I know with the Sonic show, all of the characters created for that, like Sally Acorn and Antoine and everything, are all owned by Sega.
Mm.
Despite the fact that Sega don't want them.
Well, now you're stuck with them, Sega. Are you happy?
So, I don't know. We can't really know when it comes to this one.
True.
Without someone on the inside telling us.
Yeah.
Do Lucasfilm own these characters? Or does Eugene Levy own these characters? What if Eugene Levy just, out of nowhere, just made a reunion of this show? Oh, wait. Actually, I just remembered. Joe Flaherty, who played Fred, he actually died recently. He passed away just maybe like a couple weeks ago.
Oh no.
Because he's quite well known in Canada, so a lot of Canadian people were posting clips of him from other movies and stuff that he had been in. Yeah, April 1st he died.
Wow.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Because I like him in this.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I don't think this is a particularly good show, he is one of the things I like about it.
Right. His acting has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I like him. I like, what's her name? Deborah Thika, I think, who plays Casey. Something Thika.
That sounds about right.
I think she's great. I like whoever built the house. He was 82. Wow. Sometimes I forget
So
how old
young.
some of the shows we look at are.
Yeah.
I guess we're done.
We did it.
We've defeated Maniac Mansion.
Punched it right in the bowels.
Yeah. Take that. We punched it right in the bowels and a mess of fly eggs came out.
Ew.
It was gross. Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you'd like to support us, you can head to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub, where you can put money in our hands and receive some bonus content.
Wow.
We would like to produce more bonus content, but we need more money to do that.
This annoying thing called life keeps getting in the way.
Yeah. Thank you to our current patrons, Mark Kelly and Jamie Core. You are both rad AF.
Thanks, friends.
Should I say their names the other way around? Jamie Core and Mark Kelly? I should switch it up every now and then.
Just to keep things fresh.
Yeah. I don't want it to seem like one is more important than the other. You're both equally important to us, and we love you both.
Haven't you only read their names out like twice?
I
I didn't realize we'd already established a pecking order.
I think this is the third. We haven't established a pecking order, but I keep reading them out in the order that it shows them here. What is this arranged by? I don't know what it's choosing to... Oh, it's arranging them by their email address. Okay. So, you know what? Next time I'll read them out arranged by... Well, there aren't that many things to arrange it by, but I'll change it up anyway. The problem is a lot of the information here is the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I could sort it by which tier they're on. They're both on the same tier. I could sort it by how much money they give. They both get the same amount of money. I could sort it by their current patron status. They both paid. There's coffee as well. We haven't done much with coffee in too long. We gotta get those stickers made and put them on there.
Yeah, you told me that you were working on something, and then it never...
Well, I got real sick, didn't I? Remember that? Remember how sick I got?
Yeah. I guess I do remember that, since you would shut up about it for like 2 weeks.
I still can't smell anything.
Can you taste?
A little bit.
That's good.
Bye! I don't know if I stink. Do I stink?
I mean, I can always smell you from miles away.
I can't smell me from my nose is in my armpit away.
Like, that's not where it's supposed to go. It goes on your face.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Maybe I vaguely got a slight whiff, but maybe that was just the memory of a whiff.
The memory of my armpit.
Yeah. Maybe that was like ghost nose, the phantom smell.
My favorite Star Wars movie.